What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Sideline Sports. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I appreciate all of you guys for watching my videos. Keep watching. And we're going to talk a little bit about some Niners today. Not in a super great place, obviously, after that absolute crushing from the Bills. The Bills basically killed the Niners by running them over with a huge Mack truck in the middle of the Ozark in the dark, and then backed up, ran over them again, stabbed them a few times, and left them to bleed out in a cold, dark night. Guys, this team is basically done, okay? We are getting absolutely murdered by every team that comes through, and they're enjoying doing it. And I got to tell you, it's really, really hard not to blame the coach. So I'm going to blame the coaching right now. The defensive coach, Sorensen, needs to be out of here after this year. It was an experiment that didn't work. Thanks, but no thanks. Get out of here. We need to get Saleh back. That's what I think. He was a great coach for this team, and he understood the defensive players on this side. Shanahan should be on the hot seat or on his way out because of his horrible offensive play calling. It is clear that without all the superstars that Shanahan had at his disposal, that his offense might be a little bit more mediocre than we actually thought. He is supposed to be an offensive genius, right? But he has always had superstars at his disposal for the most part. When you don't have that, you got to find ways to adjust and win, and he just never really did. So sometimes, and I have these two guys on my desk for a reason, and they're a lesson for all of life. One, because I'm nostalgic and I love the Karate Kid, but also because it makes sense. Sometimes in life, you need Daniel LaRusso. And sometimes in life, you need a little bit of Johnny, right? A little bit of badass. So right now, what we got is a soft but effective team for the most part in a Daniel LaRusso. But what we need is some badass, right? We need some badass players to go out there with some Cobra Kai kick ass and freaking do their thing. Okay, guys? That's the bottom line. We don't have that. We don't have the eye of the tiger. We don't have that, let's go out, put the women and children to bed, and look for fucking dinner. That's not what this team is. This team is all about trying to just make it through the year in a respectable fashion and doing a really bad job at it. Now, the injuries are just stacking up, guys. Let's take a look here. We have McCaffrey out now on injured reserve for the second time this year. He's out for the year. Hey, let's make things worse. Jordan Mason, our backup running back, is now out. He's going to probably be out for the year. Williams, our defensive all-pro offensive lineman, is out. Unfortunately, we need to say a prayer to God because he did have his wife had a stillborn, and unfortunately, his child passed on. So we need to go ahead and pray to God that he takes care of his child, and that is truly sad. So not going to get on him too much for that, right? So let's just say a prayer tonight for him, anybody who's listening, for God to take care of his family. The next thing, Ronnie Bell was cut and signed back to the practice squad. Why? Because we are dropping like flies. Is Bosa going to be back this week? Probably not. Hey, this is written backwards, but just in case you can't see it, it says we're screwed, guys. So this team is a wash this year, and we can just talk about what needs to happen in the offseason, okay? So we're going to do that this podcast. We're not going to talk about the path to the playoffs right now. Is there a path? Strangely enough, there is. If the Niners run the table and the Cardinals and Seattle lose the next two, the Niners will make the playoffs because they will take the division because it is a very weak division. So can that happen? Sure. But let's just think about this for a second, guys. Even if they make the playoffs, who cares? Because at the end of the day, they're not going anywhere. They're not beating the Lions. They're not beating the Chiefs. They just don't have anybody at their disposal that can help do that. Yes, Debo's still out there. Kittle's still out there. But aside from those two, you don't really have anybody out there that's going to help you overcome the challenges of some of these great teams. It's just not going to happen. And Purdy, who's basically in line for a contract next year, is not going to go out there right now and put himself in dangerous positions to where he can get hurt and basically flush all that money down the toilet. Remember, guys, he's still on a rookie contract. I think he's making like $280,000 this year, maybe $300,000. I don't know what it is, something like that, right? And he's in line to make something more like 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, something like that. So guys, he's not going to go out there and get killed. The coach, if he's smart, is not going to go out there and ask him to do too much, because they know that the path to the playoffs is difficult and the path to the Super Bowl is damn near impossible. So guys, what do we need to do in the offseason to get this team back into winning mode? Get yourself a new defensive coordinator, hopefully Saleh, because you could feel the energy on the sideline when Saleh was there and the players bought in. Everybody's up for sale right now that's not named Fred Warner and Christian McCaffrey and basically Purdy. Those three guys are as safe as it gets, because you need to build around some leadership, and those are your three leaders. Everybody, including Bosa, in my opinion, is on the trading block. Now, I don't know. Let's think about this. Is there anybody else I want to lump in there? No. Those three are basically the three that I would want to keep, and then we're talking about a rebuild mode, or go in and we start looking at who are the free agents, who can we trade for, who can we draft. You know, we're in a pretty good draft position right now, probably the top 15. We're probably looking more like 12, I think. So we'll see where we end this year, but that's a good spot to be in to get yourself a good pass rusher. Our offensive line is pretty solid. I wouldn't mind drafting another offensive lineman, guys. But remember, in this draft in the offseason, for me, it's all about picking those guys that they're not flashy picks, but they are picks that make the difference. Remember, Tom Brady won many, many Super Bowls with different wide receivers, running backs that you barely knew or were either past their prime or gearing down past their prime. But what he was protected, right? So we need to take a look at the offensive line getting better. Dominic Puni was an absolute steal of a find. He's going to be a part of that future on the offensive line. But, you know, other players are going to be basically either on their way out retiring or not going to make the cut. So, bottom line, you got to look at the offensive line. You got to look at defensive linemen, pass rushers, somebody who can go alongside Bosa, or think about trading Bosa for some other draft picks or something, because this team is definitely going into a rebuild mode. Oh, I forgot. We need to keep Kittle as well. So let's go ahead and keep Kittle on that list too. And everybody else, including Debo, is up for trade or release or whatever we need to do. But this team definitely needs to get younger, faster, stronger, and more nasty. This is just a fact of life in football and life in general, right? In life in general, you got your ups and you got your downs. You struggle and you succeed, and things get easier at times. But right now, we've watched 4 years of 49er football where they dominated and went to the Super Bowl a couple of times. There has to be a giving point, guys, and that's what we're seeing this year. And let me tell you, it might go in for a couple more years. I don't think they're going to be just jumping right back on top next year either. They're going to have to start building their team back up. This is not an entire rebuild, but this is a team that is in line for some changes. And I wouldn't even mind seeing a new head coach come in. I'm not going to lie. I do think that Kyle Shanahan is maybe not losing the locker room, but I think he's losing some faith with some players. And there's a reason. When the chips are down and things are getting hard for Shanahan, he tends to kind of curl up on a ball and cry somewhere. He is not adapting to the game. You can see this in every game this year. It became ugly because some of our superstars got hurt, and we just continue to get hurt the whole season. But you can see how he's not adapting to the game and the play calling as other teams are figuring him out. Okay, he doesn't have those superstar power players that can make these plays happen and look good just based on their ability alone. Right? So he has to call and draw up plays that work for the player and work, right? That cannot be just figured out in 2 or 3 quarters. And so that's a sticking point. And maybe he's just been coaching long enough with the Niners. He's run his course. This is what happens in football. Head coaches very rarely stick around for a long time. 5-6 years is a pretty good run for a head coach. I don't think he's going to be gone. He'll probably be here one more year. If they struggle next year, who knows what's going to happen, but I do think fresh blood is needed, and that definitely is going to be a new defensive coordinator. If they don't replace this defensive coordinator, then you're looking at a team that is just outright trying to rebuild and is not trying to win for a couple of years, right? But Saleh's out there. He's ready to come back. I say go get Saleh, okay? They're left for dead on the road, guys. This team is left for dead on the road, bleeding out, and nobody is stopping to help. They're just driving by and waving. Okay? That's where we're at right now with the Niners. It's not going to get any better. We got 4 more games. Just get through it, get it over without injuring any more players. Sit all your starters that you don't have to play. Brock Purdy, I might not even play much. I got to be honest. I would probably rest him. There's no need to get this quarterback hurt when you're going to need him as the future of your franchise, if he truly is the future of your franchise. There's people out there that might say that he may not be worth the money because he's going to demand to set a new market high. That's just what quarterbacks do in his position, where he's coming off a rookie contract and he's playing at a top-tier quarterback level in the league. He doesn't have to be the best quarterback in the league to set the market, okay? That's just what it is. Patrick Mahomes set the market, and then I forget who it was after that. Maybe it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, guys. Whoever is playing at the top of the game that year or at the top of their game that year is going to set the market, especially when the team needs that quarterback. If you don't want to stick with Brock Purdy, you have to ask yourself one question. Are you in a total rebuild, and can you draft somebody out of college that is going to be better than Brock Purdy? Or is there somebody out there that you can trade or sign right now that's going to be better than Brock Purdy? I'd say the answer to that, the second question, is absolutely not, because he's playing at a top 3, top 4 quarterback level in the league. Unless there's a 1, 2, or 3 guy that you can go out there and get, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or who else? Who else would you want to swap with Brock Purdy, considering Brock Purdy is in his 3rd year? He's still very young and still has a lot to go to learn, and he's playing great right now. So I don't think there's another quarterback out there. Aaron Rodgers wants to play for another team. I definitely don't want him. He's washed, and he complains about it. All the players and coaches, all he's going to do is come in and kill your team because he's just a grumpy old man at this point, okay? He should probably retire after this year, I would say. Outside of him, I don't know any other quarterbacks in the league that I would trade Brock Purdy for right now, considering. Now, depending on how much he's going to ask for the contract, I still think he's going to set the market because he's got the advantage. He's playing very well for the 49ers, and they have to have a quarterback that can lead them into the future, and he looks like he's the best option right now. They will not win or lose a Super Bowl because of his performance. I think his performance can take him there. I don't know if he's going to lead them when they're behind into a win. But let's remember, back in the playoffs when we were losing to the Lions, 21 to 6 or 21-3, and we came back and won that game with Brock Purdy. So he's not afraid to go out there and sling the ball around if you let him. Shanahan is not letting him do that. So why is that? Let's think about that. It could be because he doesn't want to get him hurt. He doesn't want him to stand in the pocket too long because there are better times ahead, and this year is not that year. I personally believe that because he was letting him sling the ball around the field earlier this year and last year. So I would say it's a pretty safe bet that Purdy's going to get his money and he's going to be a 49er. But just playing devil's advocate, if they decide they don't want to spend all that money on Purdy and set the market, you have to ask yourself who your quarterback's going to be, and is this a total rebuild anyway? If it is, you might just get a serviceable quarterback until you can put all the pieces around him. But that just doesn't make sense. You have Purdy, build your offensive line. That's what you have to do. You cannot just not have a good quarterback, build the offensive line around a shitty quarterback, and then just put in a quarterback that you drafted or traded for and plug and play. It's all about building the team. Look at the Warriors, right? Look at how they did this. Look at every team that built a championship team. It happens over time. You can't do it in a single season. It's not going to happen. Very rare for that to happen. Sometimes in basketball, you'll see it happen if you put like a big 3 together. Hasn't happened since the Celtics. Even when LeBron James went to the Heat with Bosh and Wade, it didn't happen to the full extent that they wanted it to happen, right? It's very difficult to just plug players in. So it's a gradual build. I would build around Purdy is what I'm saying. And I think everybody else is up for auction, not named Kittle, not named Christian McCaffrey, right? And, I mean, even Brandon Ayuk, I think. But I would keep those two and not name Brock Purdy. And so I think that's where we're stuck with Brandon Ayuk, I believe. I don't see a way out of that contract, although I wish there was, and I wish the Niners wouldn't have paid him. And I think when I started talking about this in the beginning of the year, I think my perspective was to get the guy signed and just get him in and start playing. But he did something that I've never seen a superstar wide receiver do, which is sign that big contract and play worse than he's ever played before. So maybe the size of the contract got to him. Who knows? Let's give it the rest of the year. He gets back in training camp, resets. We'll see if Brandon Ayuk can be a staple for this team. But if not, he's a trading piece too, although not worth much right now, injured. So anyway, guys, not a great year. It's been frustrating. It's been hard. But you have to look at this as you look at life, right? You have your ups and you got your downs. We're down right now. It's 1 year. Next year, maybe we'll gradually make our way up, but I don't see a Super Bowl contending team for a few years now. Who knows what that's going to look like? That depends on how they build this team out, but you need tenacity, you need toughness, you need that killer instinct, and there's only a few players out there. Fred Warner's not going anywhere either. Fred Warner is that guy. He will chase you down. He reads the defense or the offense very well. He's a guy that you can't get rid of, okay? Mustafa is a rookie. That's a guy you're not going to get rid of, okay? So there are players that you're not going to get rid of, especially if they're not being paid at the moment. So couple guys, Pooney on the offensive line is not going anywhere. But by and large, this team needs to be basically overhauled. And we need to start with the defensive coach and the players, and then we need to take a hard look at Shanahan and say, does this guy get another year? I think he will, just because of all the injuries. I've never seen so many injuries in my entire life for a football team, baseball, basketball team, or anything else. Okay? So this is a very, very strange situation going on with the 49ers where they just can't get healthy no matter what. So the year's a wash. Okay? So Shanahan will probably get another year because of that. But if this is the way he's going to coach going forward, I would say next year he's on the hot seat, and who knows, could be fired by the middle of the year if things don't go the right way. If he feels like he lost the locker room, maybe he'll walk away. I doubt it. He's hard-headed, he's stubborn, and he's not going to give up the position at the 49ers to walk away and go somewhere else, especially since his father is ingrained in this organization since the days of Joe Montana and those Super Bowl winning 49er teams. So, guys, bottom line, season's over. Not over, but it's over. Protect your players as best you can. Sit them, let them get healthy, give them the rest of the year off. Let them get back into training camp by next summer feeling healthy and better. And you go from there and you hit the reset. You start over, right? So that's all I'm saying. Thank you for watching the channel. And please continue to hit those likes, hit the subscribes. I need your support. And we'll definitely see you in the next one. We got Warriors Talk coming up very soon. Not today, but we will do Warriors Talk tomorrow. They're on a skid right now. They've lost 5 in a row. Doesn't mean they're a bad team. They just need to get a few quirks worked out. Milton being injured for the rest of the year is definitely a bigger problem than people realized. And I've been saying it, and it's showing on the court. Also, I believe Steve Kerr tinkers around with that starting lineup way more than he should. Last night, in general, they should have won that game. They didn't win. And at that point, Moody was having a fantastic game last night. Why you take him out and bring in other players, I don't get it. Buddy Hield came in a very crucial time in the fourth quarter when Moody was having an awesome game. I would have left him in and rode with him. They didn't do that. I don't get it, but we'll talk more about that later. Warriors Talk for you guys who want to watch the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Remember, hard work beats talent. When talent don't work, see you in the next one.